Joining me tonight is Ambassador Nicholas Burns, former Undersecretary of State and Ambassador to NATO. He's now a professor of diplomacy and international politics at the J.F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard, and Congressman Adam Schiff, Democrat from California, who is a senior member of the House Intelligence Committee. First, let me thank both of you for being here tonight.
You bet.
Thank you.
Ambassador Burns, let me start with you. You've been a diplomat for a long time. What's your reaction to what happened today?
Well, first, I certainly think that Congress has an obligation and a right to ask questions. That's their mandate. That's their duty. And this was a great tragedy in Benghazi. But I think it's unfair to focus on Ambassador Susan Rice. She was simply one of many administration officials who were trying to put together an accurate portrait of what happened after that terrible day in September. She didn't speak on her own initiative. Obviously, she was asked to go on these morning shows. She said what any other administration would have said had they been in her place that day. And I think it's unfair to single her out. By any objective standard, she has been an effective, purposeful, and impressive ambassador to the United Nations. She has many, many qualifications to serve in higher office. And I've been in the position, serving in both Republican and Democratic administrations in the past, of going out in public and explaining views. And I know it's always a collective effort to try to determine what one says to explain a position. And so I just think that the focus on her, the sole focus on her, is not correct. I think she deserves better treatment than this.
Congressman, what is your response to today?
Well, I agree with Ambassador Burns completely. I think Susan Rice has been an extraordinary ambassador to the United Nations. I think she's smart, hardworking, ethical, honest, and just a superb candidate for Secretary of State if the president makes that decision. I find it mind-boggling that some of the GOP senators continue to go after her. It's completely unjustified. And I can only conclude that having failed to deny the president a second term, they now want to deny him the cabinet of his choice. But that is a terrible disservice to the country. It's a terrible disservice to a dedicated public servant like Ambassador Rice. And it makes no sense whatsoever. I think they just refuse to take the facts for an answer. And what is so mind-boggling, really, is that what the ambassador has said is exactly what the head of the National Intelligence Agency, the DNI, has said, James Clapper. It's the same as General Petraeus said. It's the same as the acting director Morell has said. So if they have an issue, their issue is with the intelligence agency that provided that information to the ambassador, not with the ambassador. But nonetheless, in the face of these quite clear facts, they continue to pick this fight, and I don't understand it.
Let me push you on that, Congressman. So you're on the Intelligence Committee, a senior member. What the ambassador is saying to members of Congress intelligence is exactly what everyone else in the intelligence community has said. So then what is the basis of these senators doubting what she's saying if there's no one in intelligence that has contradicted in any way conflicted what she's saying?
Well, there is no basis for it, which is why it's so inexplicable. Because what the intelligence community thought at the time, and obviously they got this wrong, but they thought at the time that this began with a protest. It did not begin with a protest. But had the ambassador gone out to the public and said something different than what the intelligence community put forward as its best estimate, then she would have been, I think, subject to legitimate criticism. Why were you ignoring what the intelligence community thought at the time? So I think she did what she had to do, which was take the best work product. And as Ambassador Burns pointed out, it is an interagency process to come up with that best work product, share that information with the American people. But to go after her, to go after the messenger, to besmirch a dedicated public servant like her, to basically go after the president is such a disservice. And I had hoped, frankly, that this political attack would have ended when the election came and went. But it is, I think, really disturbing to see it continue.
Ambassador, let me go back to you a minute, because let me get this straight. You said you served in Republican and Democratic administrations. Would Susan Rice have had any role in the Benghazi attacks, aside from speaking on behalf of the White House and the collective, as you say, in the aftermath? Would she have had any direct role or knowledge independent of what she was told?
No, she really wouldn't have. Her duties, pertain to a very, very busy and demanding job at the United Nations. She's not in charge of our policy towards the Middle East. And so, you know how these things come about. There's a conference call before any Sunday show where the person going on is briefed by a lot of people from a lot of different agencies. The administration determines there's one set of, points that they want to use. There's one message we want to get out publicly. So, governments act collectively, and this process is a collective office. And therefore, to single her out is really a disservice to her. And I find this very ironic because here we are at a complex time for the United States. We've got the Afghan war, the global economic crisis, the Iran and North Korea nuclear threats, the situation in Gaza, the troubles in Egypt. There's so much that our senior officials have to focus on. These are the real issues that people should be asking Ambassador Rice about.
Now, Congressman, hearing the ambassador say that and hearing you is very interesting because we hear Senator Graham and Ayotte say they're going to put a hold on Ambassador Rice if, in fact, she's nominated to be the Secretary of State. They're going to put a hold on her, even though there's no direct responsibility, direct knowledge, and no accusation of direct knowledge by her on any of these matters, and as she's saying what, in effect, she was told to say by the intelligence community. Yet we're told that Democrats are ready to fight. A Democratic aide tells NBC News this is getting people's back up. The general sense of mood is this is ridiculous. She's obviously qualified. No one on our side thinks there's any substance whatsoever to the Republican criticisms. The aide also questioned whether Republicans, beside McCain, Graham, and Ayotte, would think this is a smart fight to pick. After all, it would be a high-profile fight with a qualified African-American woman.
And she's not just qualified. She is supremely well qualified. She has tremendous experience. She's been enormously successful with her work at the UN. We were able to marshal some of the most significant sanctions on Iran for its pursuit of a nuclear program. She helped work together the coalition that freed the Libyan people of Muammar Gaddafi. So she has an extraordinary track record. And to go after her, to try to deny the president his choice for Secretary of State, if he makes that choice, is a terrible disservice to someone with an extraordinary record who will deprive the country potentially of the continued service in a higher office of a great talent. And it simply makes no sense. And I can only conclude, because I appreciate the effort the UN ambassador made in sitting down with these senators, that they really had their mind made up before they got together with her to fight this for whatever political purpose. But frankly, I think it's a losing political purpose. It was a losing argument during the presidential campaign. It's even more of a losing argument now. As Ambassador Burns said, we have a lot of important international issues that we should be focusing on. And if there's anything we should be focusing on with respect to Benghazi, the question is, where are we in the hunt for those who were responsible? Not where are we in our efforts to attack Susan Rice. And I'm afraid this has been an enormous distraction. I think it's also been destructive in terms of the intelligence community process, because the intelligence community is going to feel that they should never give us initial assessments again, and that isn't right either. But to the degree that people have jumped down their throats, it'll make them more reluctant to provide us early information, and that, I think, disserves us. So a lot of damage.
I'm going to have to leave it there, Congressman and Ambassador. I must say, though, I must point that Ambassador Rice also met with Senator Joe Lieberman, who usually teams up with Mr. Ayotte, Miss Ayotte, Senator Ayotte, as well as Senator Graham. And he had a different reaction. Let me show this quickly.
To me, based on her public record and her public service, barring some evidence to the contrary, I think she's answered the questions that I have about why she said the things she did on those Sunday morning talk shows.
So Joe Lieberman seems satisfied, unlike the others who he has usually agreed with. Wonders never cease. I'm going to stay on this one. Ambassador Burns and Congressman Schiff, thank you both for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
President Obama is taking his fairness fight on the road. Wait until you hear what small business leaders are saying about him. Plus, something happened to Chris Christie today that might, I repeat, might start a new trend in the GOP. And these massively long voting lines in Florida didn't happen by accident. The former Florida GOP chairman is spilling all the secrets from behind the curtain tonight. And what in the world are these naked people doing in Speaker Boehner's office today? You're watching Politics Nation on MSNBC.